What's going on, everyone? It's Sheena, aka Sheenapreneur, your favorite veteran. I get a lot of questions about, hey, if I'm a newbie, can I get started in government contracting? The answer is yes. But no, but yes, definitely you can get started as a brand newbie. For those who are new here, welcome. Those who have been following me for a while, you probably heard my story. But I got started without really any true experience in the field that I was going into. I was doing real estate, but then I kind of transferred over to facilities management, which is similar but different. And I didn't know what I was doing for real. And I was able to secure my first 3 contracts, the first 3 bids that I put in. So, whoop, yay me. But, you know, some people feel like I'm a newbie into government contracting, or I'm a newbie into this industry. Can I do government contracting? And absolutely the answer is yes. There's just a few things that you have to make sure that you do in order to do federal contracting and local contracting. And for the purposes of this video, I'm not really going to talk about corporate contracting, but generally speaking, most people that are looking at government contracting are looking to do federal contracting. So let's get started. So when it comes to federal contracting and you're a brand newbie, you have to first choose what industry you're going to go into, right? So even if you're saying, I want to just sell whatever to the government, I don't really know what that is yet. It doesn't matter what you end up doing, but when you start and you register in sam.gov, you have to choose what's called a NAICS code. So you choose a NAICS code, and it's based on the industry. It's the census website, and it tells you, it's categorized. All the industries and all the businesses in the world, on earth, are categorized by these NAICS codes, N-A-I-C-S, and it gives you the detail about what that specific industry is supposed to be. So at the very least, you have to know that first. So then you would go into sam.gov and you register your business. Now, sam.gov has changed. For those of us who registered a long time ago, when it was FBO and when it was beta.sam, the website has changed. I've been on there recently to register a client that wanted me to register their company into sam.gov, and it is much different. It's not like it used to be. So you do have to do quite a few things that you may be intimidated by, but don't let it intimidate you. At the very least, if your sam.gov profile gets rejected, usually the agency, sam.gov, will tell you what the problem is. So if they tell you what the problem is, you just go in and fix it, or you can call the help desk or submit a ticket with the help desk at sam.gov, and they will help you. That's what they're there to do. They literally get paid to do that. They're very helpful and responsive. So if you have your sam.gov and whether you've been rejected already or you haven't even started with that process yet, just reach out to the sam.gov website and ask them for assistance. So basically, I'm kind of going out of order because with the NAICS code, you need to know that first. So when you go into the sam.gov website, then you already have your NAICS code ready to go. So boom, now you're choosing your industry. You're like, okay, boom, Sheena, I want to do janitorial like you do with your company, Foresight Industries. I ain't gonna say that you shouldn't do it, but janitorial can be a little tricky. It can be a little complicated, frustrating, and awful sometimes, but it can also be very, very, very rewarding. So whatever floats your boat, but let's just say you're going into janitorial and you choose that NAICS code. It's 561720, okay? But basically, you have that, you choose it, you register your SAM, you get your cage code, and everything is breezy. Now you're registered in SAM. Then people just sit there and wait. You don't wait. The contracts are not going to come to you if you're just registered in SAM. Now, I will say there are a few people who have told me all they did was register in SAM, didn't even think about it, and then an agency reached out to them and asked if they could submit a quote for something. But that's usually kind of niche, and you may be one of the only people that do that one thing in your state or in your city. So every blue moon, you might get something like that, but that is not typically how it works, especially if you're going into something that a lot of people already do in your geographical location, right? So no waiting. No waiting. You go out there and you try to be active. Now, when I say go out there, that means that you go on the sam.gov website and you look for opportunities that are in your location, or it's something that you know that you want to perform, something you want to do, something you want to sell to the federal government. So you do that, and then, find an opportunity that works for you. And you may not find anything that particular day because it didn't come out on sam.gov, or maybe the agency categorized it wrong or categorized it a little bit different than what you're used to or what you usually call something. So just if you're going into something, I'm using janitorial as an example, but you might be in something where they have different names for that specific industry. Let's just say it's like trucking, right? Let's say you are an owner, operator, trucker, right? And so you have your own truck, you're the driver, but then they might have, something like moving. So you're like, well, we can do moving, but that's not how the actual solicitation was categorized. And so you just want to make sure that you're looking for everything on sam.gov that could be be related to your industry. It's supposed to be separated by NAICS codes, but this is a people industry. This is people stuff. So they may have just categorized it wrong, put it under the wrong NAICS code, all kinds of stuff. I've had janitorial put on under construction, and it wasn't even construction cleanup. It was just straight janitorial, but it was put under construction for some reason. So sometimes you have to be, just really dive into the website and see if it's something that you can actually perform or something that you actually want to do. So boom, now you found the opportunity of a lifetime. It happens to be in your geographic location. You want to do it. You want to pursue it. Now you're like, oh my goodness, Sheena, it's like 100 pages long. I can't do this. Absolutely, yes, you can. Now, I used to have a limit. If it was over 100 pages long, I just wasn't going to pursue it, especially if it was something that was due very, very quickly, because that just takes a lot of time and resources, and I was still working full time, all that stuff. So I get it. I get all that. So with that being said, find something that seems to make sense for you. Don't put yourself under any undue stress, because there are a lot of opportunities out there on federal and local side that you can just find, and you can skip the one that's 100 pages and go to the one that's 10 pages. They're out there, but you may not find them the day that you're actually looking. So what do? Okay, the next best thing for me is I bought into a company called GovDirections.com. Now, I've talked about GovDirections for years and years and years, but my other favorite website is InstantMarkets.com. Instant Markets with an S.com. That to me, that site is a little bit more, just seems to have more on there. GovDirections is very clean. It's set up very, very properly. The only thing with GovDirections is there's a paid version. So there's a free version and a paid version. The free version doesn't allow you to, when you get an email with a solicitation based on your industry, when it comes to your email, like the list of them, when you click on the actual opportunity and say, oh, let me see if I could find out about this particular solicitation, the GovDirections makes you pay to view the opportunity, whereas Instant Markets does not make you pay. And I think there might be a limit on Instant Markets, because I was searching the other day and it told me I reached my limit. I was like, what? I don't know if it was my limit for the day. I just closed out the whole thing because I wasn't doing anything super serious anyway. But the point is that you can do GovDirections or Instant Markets, or there's websites called BidNet. They have some others, like I post these all the time, but those are paid and free websites, generally speaking. And so that cuts down the time of you looking through sam.gov every day to try to find an opportunity, whereas those websites are bid delivery websites, and they will come to you, come to your email. All you have to do is put, whether it's the keyword or the NAICS code or even the location and the industry, then those emails will come to your email address every day, or however you set up the alerts. And so you don't have to search. You're like, ooh, okay, I got the email. Let me just see how many of those opportunities came out today. Boom. So now you got that set. You know how you're going to look for opportunities, whether it's a bid delivery service or it's you physically looking on sam.gov or your local state website. Then you always think about certifications. This is one of the biggest questions. I've done many videos on certifications and whether they're important or not. The whipped cream on the icing on the cake. So are they beneficial? Yes, they absolutely can be. Are they the end all be all? No, they are not the end all be all. And on top of that, some people feel like you can't even get an opportunity or get a contract without certifications. And that's absolutely untrue. It gives you more depending on where you are, because when it comes to federal certifications, typically, since those are federal certifications, they're supposed to cover, the globe. So typically, some parts of the country, the US, are going to favor some certifications over the other. Like I'm in the South, so really they love 8A certifications in the South. Northeast, I noticed they really love the SDVOSB, the Service Disabled Veteran Owned certification. That's just something that I just happened to happen to notice. And I don't know where they favor HubZone more, but those types of things you just have to kind of be aware of, or maybe you might have such a niche item or a niche product, niche service, that it doesn't even matter where you're located. So that's for the federal certification. But then for the local certifications, it's state dependent, city dependent, county dependent. And a lot of those are they're not like a one-for-one matchup with federal certifications. Like they have some women-owned certifications at the state level. They have some disadvantaged business enterprise certification, DBE. Those are very common amongst almost all states. That's a state level certification. And then you have like MBE, the minority business enterprise, which is like like some states do, some states don't. Some cities do, some cities don't. And then you have like local small business, like a LSBE. That's just some states do that, some cities do that, some counties do that, and some don't. So it's really like, it depends on where you're located and whether you're doing federal or local. You can do federal and local at the same time, will determine whether you should get any of those certifications. So just FYI, you can get all these opportunities without certifications. But if it's a free certification, which almost all of them are, except for some states charge you, but if it's a free certification, I would say knock it out, get it done. Don't pay someone else to do it. Just knock it out, right? Another thing is when you register as a vendor, you can even register as a vendor for some federal agencies. I know for sure the VA, Veterans Affairs, whether it's a clinic or a hospital, but the Veterans Affairs as a whole, you can register as a vendor and do micro purchases. This is also something that is I knew about, but didn't necessarily know that the federal agencies were doing like vendor registration, kind of like at the state, how they do with the state level. And so it could be a little confusing because you're like, I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just registering for stuff. But you can register as a vendor with the Veterans Affairs and then do a micro purchase with them. And so there's no bid, there's no proposal. They just say, hey, can you do this? Okay, send me a quote, like on using your own system, QuickBooks or whatever system you use, send them a quote, and then they give you a notice to a purchase order, PO, notice to proceed, and boom, now you've gotten a contract, and it's a micro purchase. So, those types of things are really not discussed or really not talked about or even understood, but that's also a way that if you're a newbie, you can kind of get in there and just register. You're like, I don't have time to do all this other stuff, shit, I don't have time. Okay, boom, register as a vendor. At the very least, register as a vendor with Veterans Affairs Hospital. Register as a vendor with your local state. Register as a vendor with your local city. Register as a vendor with your local county, okay? And then that'll kind of calm the things down when you're trying to knock everything out. And those state vendor registrations have nothing to do with federal. Those are totally separate. They cousins. They're not even, they're not even brother and sister. So another thing is really honing in on your networking abilities, because sometimes you get a contract just by who you know, who knows you, and just being out there. It could be a one-time meetup. It could be you're going to event after event after event, and then boom, now finally you're reaping the reward of attending all these events. Make sure that the events are worth it. I'm not saying because sometimes free events are not good, and then sometimes paid events are not good. So you kind of have to figure out, what is the event for? Is it for your industry? Is it for government contracting? Is it for, even corporate contracting for that matter? What is the event for? Do you feel like it's going to benefit you? Can you buy something? Can you sell something? Is it something that, one thing I daggone hate, I just gotta one thing I hate is when you go to a freaking industry day, or I don't know, some people may not understand what an industry day is, but it's basically a bunch of companies or agencies coming together and having a big old conference, and they have the little vendor street, vendor row, and you go to talk to them and say, hi, my name is such and such, and this is my company, this is what I do. They're like, okay, boom, here's a business card. That grinds my gears. Why am I here? Why am I here? Why am I here? Why am I here? I could have just stayed at home, saved my money, and went online, and the business card got the website on there. I could have just did that instead of me coming here, you looking at me, and I'm the 100,000th person that you've seen today, and you're not gonna remember me anyway. So the main thing I try to do when I go to industry days or those type of networking events is super targeted. I'm either trying to meet other people in my field, other people that in my city, because sometimes these industry days are in multiple states, or you might even not be in your state, but meeting up with someone who is in my area or in my industry that is actually physically attending as well. And the other thing is, if I actually have been trying to do some sort of partnership business, something with an agency, and that agency there, I'm going straight to you. I'm like, hey, Home Depot, I applied for this credit card and got denied. Why? And now I'm looking in your face, and they're like, oh, snap. Boom, got that solved right there. There's been a few times I had to run up on some companies and was like, what happened here? Not like that. I wasn't being ratchet. But, just, hello, I was wondering what happened to my application because I submitted it and I got no response. And so then they're like, oh, wow, well, you know what? Matter of fact, I'm going to do the intro right now. Yes, do the intro right now while I'm standing here in your face. So that's another good way. Whether you're a newbie or old head in any business, whether it's government contracting or just regular business, business, it's always good to go to the networking events when you're super targeted. You have to really, really have a plan in place and try to know who is there as well, who's there in advance. So then you know exactly who to go to. You're not going to waste any time. I went to the National Minority Supply Diversity Council conference this year, and it was last year. It was multiple days. I'm like, I am not about to be stomping around this place for multiple days for them to give me a business card and say go online. Like, that made me so angry. So, but I did pull up on a couple of companies and, was direct face to face with them, and it actually helped. Another thing as a newbie is to try to use your local resources. I am so surprised at how many people have never heard of the SBA, Small Business Administration. It's literally a federal agency, and they are there to help you with your business, basically. Like, that's literally what they do. They have a wealth of information on their website, and even they have a whole government contracting section on the website. People are like, what's the SBA? I ain't never heard of that. What? Now, you may have heard of it if you were around during COVID and you got maybe a loan or something like that. You may have, or the EIDL loan, PPP loan, you may have heard of the SBA then, but that's not all. First of all, the SBA doesn't give money no more. That was the only time that they were able to do that. But nonetheless, the SBA has a lot of information. They have free classes. They have so many things. I mean, it's almost like silly to go through a list of all the things they have. They have training. They have the government contracting section. They have women, veteran section, all kinds of stuff. They have a section about how to get loans and stuff like that. But those who don't know or who know me, they know how I feel about like these loans and how it's really challenging, especially if you're a startup, to get a loan, a business loan. Usually people will end up getting a personal loan. They don't tell anybody. They don't even say that it's a personal loan. That's beside the point. So yes, using your free resources like the SBA, SBDC, Small Business Development Center. Every state has at least one SBDC, and it's usually attached to some college. And the SBDC is a feeder from the SBA. So the SBA, Small Business Administration, pays the SBDC program. So that's why it's usually attached to a college, because the college, it has to be facilitated some sort of way. So use those free resources, because some of the stuff that you all ask me or ask anyone else that's on the internet is stuff that you could be getting for free at the SBDC or the SBA. And they're there to help. Make them do their job. People, and SCORE, because SCORE is also a feeder from the SBA. But, I know some people that have tried the SCORE program, which is a mentorship program, and they had a bad experience. It may have just been that person. So I would say don't give up on it. If you really feel like you need a mentor, and try to find a mentor that does what you do. Either they do government contracting, or they're in the industry that you're in, or retired from it, or whatever the case may be. If you're trying to do a massage place and this person they used to drive trucks, they may not know, and they never got a massage in their life. They may not know how to help you. So get someone, vet them, just like you would be hiring an employee or whatever. Just try to have someone that matches up. Just because they're volunteers, by the way. Not just because they volunteer through SCORE doesn't mean that they know everything about everything. It just means that they may have had some success in their business. That's just a couple of things that if you're a newbie, you can just run through, and it's register in the federal website, sam.gov, or your state website. Explore if you need or want certifications. I always say yes, do it if you can, if it's free. Choose your company first. Get your NAICS code first, and then all the rest of the stuff will be easy. And then you do explore networking events, because networking events can be the expansion of your net worth. People always say your network is your net worth, but really it's an extension of you. So other people are like, oh, did you know that Sheena's company, Foresight Industries, also does janitorial, also does pressure washing? So you want that conversation to be had when you're not even in the room. That's one of the main things. And then using your free resources. They're out there. YouTube University, if you hear, this is a free resource, and thank you for always supporting. But also the local resources that are available. There's so many that people don't use and don't take advantage of, and then what ends up happening is those programs go away. So use them, abuse them, because that's what they're there for. And make sure that you all leave in the comments anything that you want me to talk about next. Sometimes I feel like I'm talking about stuff, and I've said it multiple times, but this may be your first time here. So, I just want to make sure that I'm delivering bring value to you all. And of course, my course is on an indefinite sale right now. I haven't figured out when I'm going to take the sale off, but it could be today. It could be today. But GovCon Now, where I teach about federal contracting, local contracting, and corporate contracting. And I have a whole section for my veterans. And I also have a GovCon Money Makers community where people share we share wins. People partner together, have lunch together, stuff like that. So that's 100% free. But until next time, it's your favorite veteran.